Hello everyone! I am so tickled to see you again. We are live and we are talking about fermenting veggies, how to do that and why you would even want to do that. So I'm going to, for those of you watching the replay, you'll want to skip a few minutes because I'm going to get the live chat all set up and everything, and then we will get to work on all this fun stuff we have going on back here. So for everybody checking in, I'm sorry that we are a little bit late. I have had a crazy pile of things I've been working on today, and I will tell you all about those in just a minute. So let me set up our chat here, and then we will be good to go. So we are sunny and beautiful here in Idaho, and there's a fire that's not very far from us, not close enough that there's danger. There's a river between us, but it's causing a lot of smoke again. So we're back under a veil of smoke. Let's see here. Okay. But the temperatures have been beautiful. You can tell that fall is on the way. It's the nights are getting cooler and it just has a different feel in the air. So, hi Wendy, I'm so glad you made it. All right. Okay. There we go. I got the chat. All right, my mom is in the house. Hi Mom. And I have Todd, my wonderful moderator, who works to keep the chat safe and civil, and he helps put up all those links and everything. So this should be a great day. I am so tickled to see you all here. I would love to hear what your weather's like, where you're tuning in from, and let me know if you've ever fermented anything. I would like to hear from you what if you have fermented or if you're scared of it. I want to hear all about it. Okay. Red Ranger says, you always wear nice clothes. Thank you. This one was bought by a friend and I absolutely love it. Okay. All right, so we are good. What we're going to talk about is fermenting. So if you don't know what fermenting is, that is a way of preserving your food, and it dates back way longer than canning. It was before we had any kind of way to process and heat and store things in jars. It's just a traditional way of storing foods, and what you do is you make some kind of a salt brine, or you add salt to the vegetable and it creates its own brine. Instead of using vinegar, it creates a brine that the salt inhibits bad bacterial growth and allows positive bacterial growth. So we're going to talk all about that and how you can do it. And the example that we're going to do today is dill pickles, because those are my favorite. And if you've ever tried to can pickles and they don't come out crunchy, you're going to really love this, because these will come out really crisp and oh, so good. All right. Okay, so a couple announcements to get out of the way really quickly. Let's see, let's start with tomorrow night. I am going to be doing another live stream, and that's going to be with the Two Family Homestead. So it'll be my first video, collaboration live stream. I'm really excited about that. That's over on their channel. So if you haven't seen them yet, they do some really great interviews. It should be tons of fun. That'll be tomorrow night, which is the 28th of August. On Monday, and it's at 7 o'clock my time, so that's going to be 6 o'clock Pacific or 9 o'clock Eastern. So you want to check that out. It's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to it and getting to meet their family. I know a lot of you guys are already over there. I went over and saw some of the live streams and saw lots of my friends. So go check all of that out tomorrow night. Should be great fun. All right, now the next big announcement. Oh, maybe I should wait till there's more people here. We have the winner for this week's, for our big 10,000 subscriber giveaway. So I think we'll wait just a little bit until we announce that, because I want to let a few more people show up, and then we'll go ahead and announce that. So hang on if you want to see if you were the winner. I'm so excited about this giveaway. Anyway, we'll do that pretty soon. Okay, so let's see. All right, John says this is the first time doing his own fermenting, and he did pickles and dilly beans and hope they come out great. I bet they will be wonderful. So, all right. Hi, Simply Crystal. So fun to see you here. So let's talk about fermenting and why you would do that, because now we can, or can, I always feel silly. Now we are able to can. So why would you ferment something? Because when you think about fermenting, it's often a scary concept that you stick it in there and you let things get bubbly and gurgly and you don't know what's going on. So it scares a lot of people. So let's talk about why you would want to ferment something. The reasons for fermenting is that you actually get to store your food live. So right now, this cucumber is considered live even though it's been just pulled off. But all of those vitamins and nutrients are in there and they have not been cooked. So as soon as you cook vitamin C and several other vitamins, they degrade and you lose those vitamins. If you ferment them though, their vitamins actually increase. So that's one of the reasons that we're going to ferment it. So we can store it live. Second would be to increase vitamin and mineral nutrients and content. And then the third reason is that we need healthy bacteria. Our bodies are actually made up of more bacteria than we are our own DNA cells. It's kind of crazy, but it's really, really important. That's what our immune system thrives on. That's what is our first line of defense, are these good bacteria. So for everybody coming in, hello, so happy to see you here. If anybody was late today, it was me. I was trying to get too many things done today and I had to get some things set up before I could go live. So I'm so tickled you guys are all here, and it's just great to have you here talking about fermenting. So fun. So anyway, so we store it live so that we get the vitamins and minerals, don't cook them out, so that we can increase those vitamins and minerals, and so that we can feed ourselves good probiotics. So the good bacteria, that's what we call the good bacteria, is probiotics. So if you have ever gone to the grocery store or to the health food store and you wanted to pick up a probiotic because you've heard that those are really good for digestion or really good for your immune system, you might have had some sticker shock. That is kind of crazy how expensive probiotics can be. You can buy a little bottle that'll last you a month for about $50 if you're getting a really healthy, really good, beneficial probiotic. And in that probiotic, you are going to have, anywhere from like 3 to 25 different strains. So that's something that you want. You're going to get some benefit out of that. But if you're fermenting, then you're going to get even more live strains, more positive, beneficial bacteria. And the more different strains you have, the healthier you are, the stronger your immune system is, and the more it can feed you, and the more nutrients it makes. It's really kind of amazing. So we'll talk all about that for a minute here pretty soon. I have to say hi to some of my friends. So Rain Country is in the house. Hello, Heidi. And Luana is here. Some people are saying this is first live chat. How fun. I'm so tickled you are here. Thank you, Diane, for showing up. And Stephanie Payne, my friend, is here. Hello. So happy to see you. Okay. All right. So Stephanie says, thank you so much for this topic. I really want to learn this craft, but like you said, I'm totally scared. So I can totally understand that, because I have been totally scared as well. And I've had some successes and I've had some failures, so we'll talk about that. So anyway, let's talk about the mechanics of it all a little bit. And I see there's a question, I'll come back to that here pretty quick. So what you do is you are going to cut up your fruits or your veggies. We don't do fruits very much. I'll tell you all about that in a second. So you're going to cut up your veggies, or if you have dilly beans or string beans and you want to take them and turn them into dilly beans, those ones you can leave whole. But basically you want to be able to fit it into a jar. So this is the jar that I use, And this jar is a Fido jar. You can find them on Amazon. You can't really see it. It's Fido. And I'll put a link in the description to Fido jars. They have been kind of a game changer for me. I just recently went to a fermenting class here locally where I found out about these Fido jars, and it was a lifesaver for me because I've had some trouble with yeast overgrowth on it, and I've had some trouble with, I'll get this gorgeous ferment, but then when I try to keep it, then air will get in there or something will happen or the spices will start to float up, and next thing you know I've got mold in there, even though the ferment part of it went really beautifully. So you need a jar, and I'll link to these for you so that you can pick those up. If you don't want to use these, there's lots of other ones. You can get mason tops, you can get the really special crocks that have the airlock on the top where you put water in. Those work really well. There's a lot of options, so go do some research and see what you think is going to be the best. But this is something that's quite inexpensive in comparison to a lot of things out there, and I have found it to be really, really easy. Okay, next thing we have here, this is a saltwater brine, and it looks kind of pink because I used real salt, so it still has all the minerals and everything in there. So this is pink, it's real salt. That means that I've got even more minerals that are going to be packed into my food, so that's one of the reasons that we like to use that real salt. Okay, and then because we're doing dill pickles today, these are the things that I'm going to be putting into it. I have grape leaves, and you can use grape leaves or you can use oak leaves. Raspberry leaves is another one. Anything that, well, not anything, you need to look up and see which things, but they've got a woody stem. What they do is they release tannins into your saltwater brine, and they help keep everything really crisp, but they're also great for keeping everything down under the brine in your jar. Okay, so there was a couple of questions. One of them, what sort of heat number do you need on them? So I don't heat anything that I'm fermenting at all. You're just going to cut it up and you're going to stick it in the salt water. You want to ferment live foods because on the skin of your fruits and vegetables, or mostly your vegetables, on the skins of your vegetables that you are going to be fermenting are all kinds of living bacteria that it has picked up from the soil and that are growing on there. But it's, so if you heat that, you're going to kill those and you're going to have trouble fermenting. So you want to keep everything fresh. Okay, let's see, there was another question. All right. Oh, we have a visitor from the Netherlands tuning in for the first live chat. How fun! So happy you're here. There was one other. Okay, what kind of foods can you ferment besides pickles? So pretty much any vegetable is going to be fair game for fermenting. You can ferment fruits. You have to do it for a very, very short amount of time because they become alcoholic very quickly. So like grapes turn into wine, which we have made some new wine, some sparkling grape juice that was super, super good. But that's a little bit different process. So mainly what we're talking about today is fermenting vegetables. So the common ones that you're going to find are going to be cabbage for sauerkraut, or for kimchi, and then like cucumbers for pickles. Green beans, a lot of people turn them into dilly beans, and that's just like a pickle, a cucumber pickle, but it's with a green bean, so it's even more crisp. They're really good. A lot of people like to do carrots, and I don't know, you guys throw out in the comments what your favorite ferments. How do beets ferment? I haven't tried them yet, but I know that there are some good recipes out there. I've heard of fermenting them so that they're like borscht. So that would be something that you want to look into as well. Now, this is something I have not done a lot of different recipes. The thing that I love the most are dill pickles and sauerkraut, so that's what I've done the most. But there are some amazing recipes out there. And then like Esther Emery, she does her fire cider. That's really, really healthy for you and helps fight off all these colds. And that is chock full of all kinds of spicy things. So that's something really good. So Heidi says beets ferment wonderfully and are one of my favorite things to ferment. Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate that. And Mr. Rain, I assume that's Heidi's husband, says my wife likes likes making rotting food as well. So it's not really rotting, but that's how we a lot of times think of it. Okay. All right, so let's get it done. It's so fun to have Mr. and Mrs. Rain in the house. Thank you guys for coming. All right. So this saltwater solution is going to be in somewhere between a 3 and a 5% solution. You guys will have to just play with it and see what you guys like. I wouldn't go less than 3%, and 3.5% is really better. So what that turns out to be in this, this is a 2-quart jar, and I put a 1/4 cup of salt. So that's going to be 4 tablespoons of salt for 8 cups of water. That's the salt solution that I'm using. And then we've got a link to the pickling spice recipe that I really love. This is an old recipe, and it is just absolutely delicious. If you guys go to the store and buy pickling spices, it's gonna have some nasty additives often, and it's gonna have cinnamon in it, which is so wrong. It's so wrong. So what I do is I go and I buy the spices bulk, so I can get them at my natural grocers or in the bulk food section at the grocery store. And it's black pepper, and we'll throw a link up in the description and here for the recipe for all of this. But black pepper, yellow mustard, brown mustard works too, allspice, and coriander, and crushed red peppers. It's also got dill that I brought in from the garden, and bay leaves. So this is my favorite. I've experimented with it for a few years now, and this is the recipe that I just absolutely love, and I can't take any credit for it. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut up some cucumbers here, and I'll try to keep talking. I'm not very good at talking and working at the same time, but I'll try. So, do you guys have any questions? Okay. Oh, Simply Crystal has a suggestion here. She says, bell peppers are good to ferment, but need to be eaten somewhat quickly because the texture will get mushy. Yeah, I can imagine that they would. Okay. How long will they last? Do you use it up quick, like short-term storage? Okay, so that is a very good question. Now, I have been super successful with very short-term stuff. I can ferment them, and I've had pickles that have lasted me for about 3 months. The thing is, I was doing them in a very big crock. I was using a big 5-gallon crock. And when you do that, then, every time you dip into it, then you're introducing oxygen and bacteria into that brine, and if there's not enough salt in there, then you end up with the whole batch going bad, which is what happened to me. So what I did then is I would take them and I would put them in the fridge as soon as I dipped into there. So this year we're going small instead of going big, and we're just going to do these. These are 1.5 liter jars, which is almost a 2-quart jar. And so I'm gonna try those and see how they go. And at some point I will have to invest in 1 million of them if that's what's going to work for us. So we'll give that a try. Okay, so you don't want your spices floating up on the top because they can introduce oxygen into your ferment. Now with this jar, it's a little bit different than if you're using an airlock or if you're using pickle weights or anything like that. So I'll show you some of the differences with that. And when I use any other jar but this jar, I actually put all of my spices, I wrap them up in a little muslin package with, I put string all around it and tie it real tight, and that way none of them can escape because that causes some issues. So I use about 2 tablespoons of this mixture with a whole bunch of dill. And if you put the spices down on the bottom, that's the best bet. So spices all go on the bottom. That means they have less chance of escaping. And then the grape leaves or whatever leaves you're going to use for this, and you don't have to, but they do really turn out nice if you do. And then you can actually eat the leaves as well if you want. So the grape leaves go in next. Sorry guys, it's hard to have you see my face and the thing at the same time. Okay, so we have spices, then we have leaves, and now I'm going to cut up some cucumbers and I'll show you how I do that. You want to take off, and you can do them whole if you have a big enough container, but this one isn't big enough. Okay, you want to cut off both the blossom end and the stem end, but especially the blossom end. If you're not going to cut off both ends, make sure you get that little blossom end off, because there's little, I don't know if they're hormones or nutrients or there's something in there that is feeding the plant and telling it to ripen, and you want it to stop ripening, and that way they will stay crisp. So when I cut up my cucumbers, my favorite is just to do little chunks like this. This is the thing I like best. So we just chunk the cucumbers. Here, I'll try to point the camera down so you can see what I'm doing for a minute. Maybe, if I can get my tripod to cooperate. There we go. Okay, so I quartered it, and then I'm going to just, you want to get them approximately the same, but it doesn't have to be uber precise. So I take off both ends because this end can be a little bitter, the stem end, and then take off the blossom end so that they don't get soft and mushy. And then chunk them up. Oops, that one hit the floor. All right. And then another thing to note, you can see I've got all kinds of sizes of cucumbers here. I had a whole bunch of cucumbers that were picked, all ready to go, and then I told my kids they could eat cucumbers, and they wanted the fresh ones, of course. So they grabbed all my cucumbers. So I sent them out and I said, I don't care which cucumbers you get everything that's out there. So this size I really like because the seeds have not gotten real big yet, and that way you're not putting an overabundance of water in. This one, that's a little bigger than I prefer. That one should have been picked a couple days ago. Let me open it up so you can see it. So the seeds still are not too bad on this one. They're pretty soft. But if they start to get real heavy and hard on the outside, and when you cut through it, it's kind of hard to push your knife through, then it would be better to scoop this out. So I'll show you how to do that. Well, if I can find a spoon. I'm going to use the baby spoon because that's what's in there. Okay. So you just want to get in there and get after those seeds. Now, there is nothing wrong with fermenting heavy seeds. It's just not a really pleasant thing once it's fermented. So I got that all cleaned out. And then you would still do the same thing. Just chunk it up. And it'll look a little bit different, but it keeps it from having real hard, awful seeds in there. And then all of the scraps, of course, go out to the chickens. This right here, I would say, was just about perfect. You can see that it still has the ridges on the pickle, and it still has the bumpy spines. When they get real big, then they get smooth. So it doesn't have the ridges across there, and it doesn't have all of these little spines on them. That one must have been hiding somewhere because it got forgotten. So when you're looking for pickling cucumbers, that's what I would look for. All right, almost got this done, and we'll close it up and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so those are all chunked up. here's the jar, and you can see you want to push it in and try to work in, whoops, work in as many as you can. Because you want to fit as many in there as you can. Okay, we got a couple more to do, and I've seen that there's some questions going by. Todd will capture those, and I will come back to them. So thank you for all of you who are answering questions. That's very helpful. Okay, I think that did it pretty nicely. Now, if you are using any other kind of a jar than this one that has this special snap lock that's made just for doing this, then it's really important you leave enough room that you can put some kind of a pickle weight or something right across here to keep all these things submerged. As soon as you put water in here, these are all going to want to float. Especially if you're using a 5% salt solution, then they're really going to want to float. Okay, so now I'm going to pack these in. And I like to put the grape leaves on because they help keep everything in there. Now you guys are going to have to comment and let me know if you would be interested in doing sauerkraut next week. If you are, then we'll do sauerkraut next week. Because I know for me, I can read about it and read about it and read about it, but until I see somebody do it, it's just hard for me to wrap my brain around it. Okay. So I'm pressing these down under the lip, or under the edge right here, the shoulder of the jar, I guess is what it's called. Pressing it down under the shoulder. And I've got everything nice and tight. So when I push on it, there is no give in that jar. I can't get anything to go any further. And now this is the part where I'm going to make a mess. I have to make a mess for every live stream, right? It's pouring. All right. Okay, I'm gonna slow down a little bit because it's coming out the top. You just want to get that filled up until it's up above those grape leaves. A lot of people suggest that you boil your water so you can really dissolve the salt in there. You can do that if you want to. Just make sure that you cool it all the way down. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to make sure, see all the bubbles that are coming up out of there? I make sure that I get my bubbles out. And that's all good. Alright, now if you're using any other kind of a jar, you're going to weight all of that down, okay? This kind of a jar, you don't have to do that, and I'll show you why. Okay, this has a seal here, and it's got this super awesome snap lock. Now what this does, the seal allows the gases and the things that build up in here as it starts fermenting. It's going to start bubbling, and it's going to need to expel some of that carbon dioxide, but it seals tight enough it's not going to let the air come back in. Alright, there we go. So now that you've seen the process, I'm going to pick the camera back up here and we will answer a whole bunch of questions and talk about what we just did. Alright, so this is going to now sit on my counter, which is the thing that's kind of crazy. You're like, shouldn't it be in the fridge? There's no vinegar in there. We're just going to sit it on the counter and set it aside and let it do its thing. And now it's going to bubble and gurgle, and it's going to make a mess. So the thing that you need to do is you need to put some kind of a tray on underneath there, okay? So set it on a tray and just let it bubble away. I have eaten pickles in as little as 3 or 4 days. They're not as, the flavor is not as rich and complete, but you can. And I've also eaten them 3 months later, and they're absolutely fabulous. Okay, so we have lots and lots of questions, which is, I love it when you guys have questions for me. It makes me so happy. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to find all of those. Okay. All right. All right, so if you don't have grape leaves, what you can do is you can use oak leaves, or you can use raspberry leaves, and I think there's a couple others too. Just look up leaves for pickles or something like that, and it'll show you what other kinds you can use. But I have used oak and I have used raspberry, and they're very, very good. Oh, and Luana says, do you ever add garlic? Oh, I forgot. We are out of garlic, and I forgot to pick some up at the store, and I didn't grow any this year. So yes, I do usually put 2 cloves of garlic in this size jar. Okay. Oh, super. Thank you, Heidi. Heidi says you can also use horseradish leaves. Yes, that is a super one, and it adds kind of a kick to your pickles. Every kind of leaf is going to flavor them just a little bit different. All right. Yes, I got some do sauerkraut next week, so looks like we will probably go ahead and do that, but I would love to hear more in the comments if that's something you guys really want. Okay. I will, I'm going to disappear off the camera really quick because I want to show you guys something. Okay. So, there. That's the sauerkraut we've done so far. We ate it a little early because we were too anxious to wait, but it's super good. Anytime from a week on, you can do a full ferment on sauerkraut. Is usually like 4 to 8 weeks. So we'll talk more about that next week, but I had to show you guys because it came out so delicious. We ate it with roast beef the other night and mixed that in there with it. Oh, it was amazing. So when you have all of your kids that are 14 and under like begging for more sauerkraut, that's what they want in seconds of, you know you've done something good. It was super fun. Okay. Another question about the leaves. No, you do not have to use leaves on there. It just is really helpful at keeping everything weighted down. It helps keep the spices down under here, and it helps keep the cucumbers here, but it also will help make sure that they stay nice and crisp. But no, you don't have to use them. I just like to. All right. Okay, Tarika says, how long can you ferment veg? I know the longer I leave my kombucha, the more vinegary it is. Yes, that's very true, especially with kombucha. It ferments very quickly. It's got a lot of sugar in it, so it's going to get vinegary a lot faster than doing something like this. We have eaten pickles 3 months later and had them be just absolutely wonderful. It kind of depends on your salt solution. So if you're using a higher salt solution, then they're going to stay less vinegary for longer. They're going to ferment slower, but they'll also be saltier. So you just got to kind of weigh what you want to do there. Go pick the minimum and try it and see how you like it. And then if you want to store it longer, sometimes increase it. Although I've heard with these jars from the lady that I took the class from, that there's really no need to do the extra salt and all of that. So that would be pretty cool. Because we like to use high quality salt, but we also don't want to oversalt things. Okay, what about artichokes? I bet that would be absolutely amazing. I haven't ever done them, but it sounds absolutely delicious. Okay. I'm still eating refrigerated pickles that I fermented last fall. Yes, if you have a place below 50 degrees, and especially if you have something in the refrigerator, then it will last you easily a year. So you do your initial ferment, and then you can go from there. And yes, wild grape leaves will work well. That's a question that's just popped up. That should work great. Okay. So someone asked, if you don't have grape leaves, use a tea. Did you say use a tea bag? No, I wouldn't use a tea bag. If you don't have grape leaves, then just get a good weight on it. All right. let's see. What kind of cucumbers am I using? Okay, so these are just a pickling cucumber. I don't think they had any specific name on them. We grew them in our garden, but I'm pretty sure it just said pickling cucumber, and it's from a local seed company. So I don't have a specific variety I can tell you, but I haven't ever met one I don't like. So I'm kind of crazy about cucumbers. And Heidi over at Rain Country says, zucchini is something I just started fermenting this year and love it. So that's something I really want to try, because up here in Idaho, we can grow zucchini like it's nobody's business. It's unbelievable. We can grow truckloads of zucchini because we have such a cold winter. We don't have all of the pests. So that would be something that I would like to try. All right. Well, Heidi's just full of great suggestions. I'm just going to turn the live stream over to Heidi. No, I'm totally teasing, but she's such a wealth of information. I get so tickled every time she pops on here. So if you guys haven't checked out her channel, get over there. She says that wild grape leaves would work really well because, generally speaking, wild fruits and herbs are going to be higher in nutrients. That is so true. When they haven't been cultivated and hybridized and all of that, then it's something that there usually is more nutrients. And Heidi, don't worry, I don't feel at all upstaged. I love having you here. You really do tickle me. So, and whenever I can say, go see Heidi, it just makes me happy. So no worries there. All right, so anyway, I said that we were gonna do the giveaway once we had a few more people in the house, and we do. So probably we should go ahead and do that. I don't know, I need like a drum roll. All right. So anyway, if you didn't see it, I'm really sorry. Apparently, Google has something against YouTube giveaways, because that video is one of the most invisible videos I've ever put out. But the winner for our 10,000 subscriber giveaway is going to get a handmade custom apron. They're also going to get, let's see, what all was it? A 10¼ inch cast iron skillet, and one of Esther Emery's books, a copy of her book, a copy of both of my e-cookbooks, and one of my Road to the Farm shirts. So that is all included in the giveaway. And our winner is Rachel Larson. So I don't know if she's here. I sent her a little message and told her to pop in if she could, but I don't know if she got it. Rachel, if you could get a hold of me so I can get your address and send all of that out, that would be super awesome. And I am so tickled. I cannot wait to collaborate with you on your apron and let you pick fabrics and everything. It should be just great fun, and I'll make sure that you guys all get to see how it all turns out. This is a really fun giveaway, and I'm just so tickled. So Rachel, if you're not here, there's congratulations going all over crazy on the screen. Everybody's so excited for you. So thank you guys for all the support and all the commenting, and for sharing everything on Facebook for us. That was a super big help. All right. If you guys have any other questions about fermenting, go ahead and start putting that in the comments. And I have another thing that I'm very excited to tell you about. I've been working in the background for a 1.5 years on a project that is really kind of near and dear to my heart. And that's something that I am not good at. It's something I have had to work like crazy to learn. And I feel like I have learned, I'm just starting to learn a new language, and not an easy one. This is not Spanish. This is like Mandarin Chinese or something like that. I have been putting together my website, and if you've ever looked for roadtothefarm.com, you probably saw a placeholder website. But we finally have our real website out there, and I am just absolutely beaming. So the good news, the thing that this means for you, is that I have all these ideas and things I want to do on, like today, where I would put together a free printable where you could go over and you could print out the recipe and the instructions and everything, so that you're not having to come back here and look in the description of the web or of the video all the time. And so I have been working really hard to get it up there so that I can get these printables out to you and these freebies and put recipes on there, and I am just so tickled. This morning we went live, so if you guys would all run over to roadtothefarm.com after the live stream, that would be super, super, super exciting. If you would go see it and tell me what you think. Now, 2 things, I'm still working on it. So I just got it good enough to put up, but the shop is not fully set up yet, so if you want to buy stuff, please still go over to my Etsy store to purchase my cookbooks. And the other thing is the blog is empty because I haven't started blogging yet, but that is something that will be happening on a regular basis very, very soon. So I'm super excited. Thank you guys so much for all that you've done to be here and support all of that. I'm so tickled. So you'll have to go check it out and tell me what you think. All right, I think there's so much fun chatter today. You guys are so fun. I really enjoy getting to spend all this time with you. It looks like I don't see any other questions. So let's just recap really, really quickly about what we did today. So we are fermenting because it helps build nutrients instead of killing nutrients like canning does. We're still going to use a lot of canning, but anytime I can ferment, I'm going to do it because it increases the vitamin content. It gives your body beneficial bacteria, which is going to strengthen your immune system. It's supposed to be really good for your digestion. It's supposed to be really good for your brain. So many different things. So make sure that you guys give this a try. And then what we did here in the jar is we put our pickling spices. Now there will be a link to this in the description for the recipe. I put about 2 tablespoons of that mix in here. And then there's grape leaves, and then there's all the chunked up cucumbers, and I chunk them up because I can fit more of them in there, and it's a good size for the kiddos. And then I put more grape leaves on the top. Now we talked about leaf substitutions. If you don't have grape leaves, you can use wild grape leaves. You can use raspberry leaves, you can use horseradish leaves, you can use oak leaves, and what those do is they impart the tannins down into your cucumbers and keep them nice and crisp. So that is what we did, and we put a saltwater solution in there of about 3.5%. Anything between 3% and 5% works really good for cucumbers. And then this is sauerkraut, which we will talk about next week. Okay, so there's some questions that I missed. I'm going to go back and catch up on those real quick. And thank you for all of the cheers on my website. You guys are so fun. All right. Okay. Guess you missed my question about using hard water and does it affect the brine? Okay, that's a good question. Hard water will not affect your brine. I do use water straight out of the tap, but that is because I have a well. That's a really, really, really good question. If you don't have a well, if you are using chlorinated water, you want to do one of 2 things. You can either go out and buy water that's been purified, or if you have a water purifier, or you can let it set on the counter overnight and all of that chlorine will dissipate out of there. So do one of those things. Don't put chlorinated water in here, but hard water is not a problem at all. So don't worry about hard water because all that is just more minerals. So that you can use. Can you quickly explain how gut health helps fibro pain? Yes, I can. But real quickly, Stephanie says, do you have to burp those jars? You do not. That is the wonder of these jars. So what they do, they have a seal here, and there's enough room that it can off-gas, it can push those gases out, but it's tight enough that the oxygen cannot get sucked back in. So the reason that the gases can get pushed out is because they're building up in here and there's pressure. But it doesn't create enough suction to suck the air back into there. So you don't have to burp them. The thing you do want to do is set them on a tray so that it'll catch the spilling because some of this brine is going to get pushed out. All right, great question. All right. So about fibro pain and why it's important to have a healthy gut. Okay, so this is kind of a really big one. your immune system is usually what is causing fibromyalgia on some level or another. That's why when I changed my diet and got rid of all of these things that my immune system was reacting to, I was having an autoimmune reaction, which means that my immune system was then attacking my body. Now what that does, it goes down into your digestive system. You're eating things you shouldn't be eating. You're not giving yourself these beneficial bacteria, all of this stuff to support a healthy gut. Because if you don't have beneficial bacteria, it doesn't mean you don't have bacteria. It means that you don't have the good bacteria. So when the good bacteria isn't present, then the bad bacteria is going to fill up in there, and you're going to have a gassy tummy, you're going to have diarrhea, you're going to have all these digestive symptoms, and it's going to be just difficult for you to digest your food. But what that also does is it starts to break down the lining of your stomach. Now, as that breaks down, then you have all these little villi, and these are the receptors that digest and take the nutrients out of your stomach and feed your body. If those are all getting cut short, and it's kind of like you just mowed the lawn in there, they can't absorb very many nutrients. If you're not absorbing nutrients, then you're going to be nutrient deficient. When you're nutrient deficient, you hurt. And so that's why a lot of people have found some help by taking different supplements. But ultimately, you want to restore that gut health and that gut lining and those villi so that you can get the most out of your nutrition, most out of the foods that you're eating. And that way you can really nourish your body. The other thing is there is a brain component. And I know this sounds crazy, but they are calling our gut now our second brain, because if you break that lining on your gut, there is an automatic connection to your brain where those different toxins and various things that are down there in your gut can then get up and affect your blood-brain barrier and can cross that barrier. And there is a lot of your nervous system is all in your gut, and what isn't there is connected to your brain. So if you don't take care of that, then your body can start attacking that system, and it really can damage your whole body by not having a healthy gut. So it's super duper important. That is in a really small nutshell, but that's the gist of it. So that is why we need to have a healthy gut, and that is why we need to be adding these beneficial bacteria in. And not only that, but this increases your vitamin and mineral intake by huge amounts. So you put a whole bunch of vitamins and minerals in there, and now they're going to multiply. So for those of us that are somewhat nutrient deficient or have a hard time, whether it's through gene mutation or whatever, that we're not absorbing the minerals and the vitamins very well, this is going to give you even more. And for everybody who has trouble with things like SAD and depression and anxiety, a lot of those things are caused by not having that healthy bacteria in your gut. So the bacteria in your gut can really affect your mood, can affect your digestion, can affect your immune system. So important. So anyway, that's my little soapbox all about gut health. So anyway, are there any other questions that I missed? I see some chatter about the eclipse, so I will take a little tangent here while I'm waiting to see if there's any other questions. We had the funnest time ever. We were in the path of totality here, and we got to watch the eclipse. It was absolutely magical. I have never experienced anything like that, the way that the weather changed, and it got dark and got bright, and there's so many extremes so quickly, and seeing the sun from behind the moon and being able to see those rays and everything, I've never experienced anything like that. So before I saw it, I used to think that people were crazy to travel and to go watch one of those, and now I'm like, I have to see it again. So the kids had a super fun time, and I'm working on putting up a video very, very slowly all about our experience that day, and it was really great. So thank you guys for all the comments on the website. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be putting a lot of work into it and adding to it so it can be a really good resource for you for all of the information that we put out here on the channel. I want to have also there on the website. So anyway, let's see. Okay, Stephanie says she'd like to try the grape leaves, but I'm not growing them. Where can I get them? You can sometimes find them at the farmer's market, but grape leaves are super prolific where they grow, so I would find somebody who has them in their front yard, and I would be brave and I would go say, hey, can I have some grape leaves? I'm kind of funny like that. But if you can't do that, you know, there's got to be an oak tree or a raspberry bush or something like that that you can go and just snag some off of. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere in your vicinity that you can get one of those things, or a horseradish. A lot of the times I find things like that on Facebook or on Craigslist. So check out, you know, post in every group you can find. Hey, do you have grape leaves? Can I come buy a couple? Can I come pick a couple? It doesn't take very many. So anyway, all right, I think we did it, guys. It's so much fun to have you here and to chat with you. It just tickles me to bits that you guys all want to come and be here. I will put links for the Fido jars. It's Fido. This is the 1.5 liter, and the 3 liter is also really awesome. I want to get a few of those. Those are the 2 sizes that were recommended because you can fit a good amount in there. The sauerkraut, or this one when you're making sauerkraut, holds a little over 1 head of cabbage, and this, you know, you saw how many cucumbers I could fit in there. So it's a good amount, but it's not like a gigantic crock where I couldn't even carry them downstairs. I had to pack them downstairs. So I think this size works really well. So I'll put links for that, links for the pickle recipe, and all that stuff is going to be on here. So anyway, thank you all for coming. It's so fun to talk to you, and we will be back next week. And it looks like we're probably going to talk about sauerkraut. So that'll be really fun. That's one of the super easiest ones. So anyway, love you all. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.